Good afternoon, or perhaps, given the time, I should say good evening. My name is Tim Pang. I'm the Senior Director in the London office for the Informa Pharma Consulting team. So the title of my presentation today is Bringing Data Alive. And as was explained, I will be presenting a number of case studies of how we use data, both from Informa and from other sources, to help our clients to answer questions that they face and problems that they face, to solve their problems in their business life. And before I do that, I will give you a brief introduction to the Informa Pharma Consulting team. So our team is rather different from all of the other teams in Informa. And by different, I think I clearly mean better. So we provide custom solutions to help our clients to make key strategic decisions. We're rather lucky to work at Informa Pharma Consulting because we are in the pink section right at the top of the pyramid. And underneath all of us are all of the wonderful resources from Informa. So the databases of pipeline drugs, of clinical trials, of companies, deals, and so much more, as well as our news sources like Pink Sheet and Scrip, and all of those sources that you may have access to. So our team uses those sources, as well as our own experience and know-how, and other external sources to help clients to make better decisions. Our work is customized, it's consulting. It's individual for the individual client. The work that we do is not shared with anyone except for the individual client. We look to provide evidence-driven analysis based on our own proprietary data, as well as market research where that is necessary. We draw on the therapeutic and functional expertise, both within our own team and within the analyst population in the rest of Informa Pharma. So our aim is to collaborate with clients, to help to solve their problems, and to provide fact-based decisions as well as actionable recommendations. Our team works in these three core areas of competency. The rather strange egg-shaped figure on this slide is perhaps not the best, but the simple message is that we support the whole of the pharma product life cycle. So whether you work in an early stage R&D role, in an early commercial job, in a role that involves the commercial marketing of approved products, in life cycle management, or in a strategic or portfolio management role, we have experience of helping our clients to solve problems and to answer questions that they face in their work. So as you know, there are indeed many difficult questions in life. It would appear that this young lady has a lot of difficult problems and questions that she's thinking about. But as you also know, some questions are probably more important than others. 確かに世の中には難しい問題がたくさんあります。センター試験のかわいそうの受験生だけではなく、仕事の現場にもたくさん、難しい問題があります。難しい問題だけではなく、時々口のうるさい上司もたくさんいます。弊社のデータベースには口のうるさい上司に関するデータは一切入っていませんので、これはあくまで、個人的な、観察です。So, maybe your boss is a 口のうるさい上司, or maybe he's a nice guy like me, but maybe you've been asked this question by your boss and not known how to give an answer, or maybe you're doing just fine. But I think a lot of us, wherever we work, we find that there are more questions than answers and more data than can easily be handled. So you can buy all the data from Informa and all the data from our competitors and access all the publicly available data from ClinicalTrials.gov and PubMed and all the sources that are available. But what does this leave you with? Well, sometimes maybe it leaves you looking like the lady on this slide. And this really leaves you no closer to answering the business questions that you face in your work. So what I'm going to share with you is some examples of how my team at Informa Pharma Consulting helps our clients to answer difficult questions and to solve difficult business problems so that you can make decisions more quickly and with confidence based on the best evidence available. So, 3 quick case studies, and then you can eat. So, the first case study concerns the prioritization of indications, the prioritization of different diseases based on both unmet needs and on the feasibility of developing drugs in these indications. So, if you work in a role perhaps in R&D and you are responsible for deciding on the allocation of resources within the R&D organization, if you work in a strategic role in portfolio planning or other similar roles, you'll frequently face the question, which indications should your company or your department or your research group focus on, taking into account both unmet needs and the feasibility of developing drugs in a particular indication. So what we can do for you is to help you to make these decisions not based on intuition, not based on bias, not based on which department has the toughest boss within the company, but based on objective data drawn from our databases and from publicly available sources. So the slides that I will show you for the case studies are by nature conceptual. All of the work that we do is, of course, confidential for our individual clients. So what you're going to see is conceptual representations of how we work with the data to answer the questions. So, indication prioritization. We're trying to say which indication is the most attractive in which to develop and launch drugs. So we collect a great deal of data relating to unmet needs in each indication and also to the feasibility of development of drugs in each of those indications. So you may ask, well, what do all of these colors, blue and green and red and purple, I guess, what do all these boxes, what type of data does this represent? So on the next slide, I'll show you some examples of the sort of data that we use to assess the unmet needs of particular indications. So the data in pink, you may have noticed, it appears that the Informa Pharma color is pink. So the data, the information, the words in pink are the data that can be taken from our databases, in this case, pharma projects. Many of you will be familiar, of course, with pharma projects. So if we are assessing unmet need, of course, we need to assess a number of things. One of those things is the existence of a current standard of care, of drugs that physicians are comfortable using and that are already meeting unmet need. But we also need to be future focused. So we want to look at the pipeline to see not just what is the unmet need today, but in 5 or 10 years' time, will the current pipeline drugs meet the unmet need that currently exists in the market? And I think you may agree that given our access to data such as pharma projects and also the data on clinical trials in TrialTrove, combined with external sources such as epidemiological data, some of which comes from us, some of which comes from published data, for example in PubMed, we can make a good assessment of the unmet need that exists in each indication. So you may ask, well, how about the development feasibility? What do we do here? Well, if you want to assess the feasibility of developing a drug in a particular indication, TrialTrove is a pretty good place to find your data. So of course you want to know how many patients on average are enrolled in a trial for asthma versus a trial for rheumatoid arthritis. What is the average length of a trial in diabetes versus the average length of a trial in atopic dermatitis. You'll want to know what are the most frequently used clinical trial endpoints and how difficult it is or easy it is to meet those endpoints. And you'll want to know the number and type of comparator groups. Is it a placebo comparator, an active drug comparator, a comparison against baseline? You'll want to know all of these things as well as the probability that these trials will be successful across different indications. And we can derive that data by analyzing the data in TrialTrove to answer the question. Final slide penultimate slide on this case study. So we feed all of the data. You may ask, what do you do with all of the data? We extract it, we analyze it, and we feed it into a prioritization model that also applies weightings that indicate the relative importance of each type of data. So of course, some of the individual data points are very important in making these decisions, and some of them much less so. So we apply a weighting that reflects the importance of the individual data point or the individual data source. And then we go, and then you get an answer that tells you in a nice list what the most attractive indications are based on development feasibility and on unmet need. So we analyze the results. The results are, as I say, objective. They are quantified. They are fair. They are free of bias. And they're comprehensive. So our clients who we have worked with on these projects use the results typically to prioritize resource allocation, prioritize R&D spending, to identify attractive new indications that the company may not currently be working in, to drop or get rid of indications that maybe are unattractive or based on the future unmet need will become unattractive. Many of our clients use this sort of exercise to plan a future portfolio strategy and the direction for the company, and also, of course, to benchmark against competitors. So that's the first case study. The clock says 5:23. I'm going to keep going. Second case study. Here we are analyzing the factors affecting the success rate of clinical trials. Again, whether you work in a role which is directly related to clinical development or whether you work in a commercial or strategic role, you'll often be asked the question, or perhaps you yourself ask the question, what are the key factors that affect the success rate of the clinical trials that my company will spend its money on? That's pretty much what this slide says. So is it the N number, the number of patients enrolled? Is it the presence or absence of an active control or a placebo control? Is it the length of the trial, the presence of a licensing partner? Is it related to the therapy area? Is there a difference between traditional chemical pharmaceuticals and biotech drugs? Well, all of these questions can be answered by speaking to us. So, in the same way, this time all of the data points appear to be black, but we extract from trial trove, from pharma projects and other internal resources, data, detailed granular data about extremely large numbers of clinical trials and the design of those clinical trials with regards to the number of patients, the number of trial arms, the presence or absence of a partner, trial length, the outcome of those trials, and so forth. And this helps us to analyze which factors have an impact on the success rate of these clinical trials. So we can isolate individual factors and say what an individual factor will have as an impact on the clinical trial. And we can also combine the analysis to perform multivariate analysis where we look at, for example, a combination of a large pharmaceutical company with a small clinical trial. How does this impact the probability of success? So we can interrogate and gain insight from the data in a large number of ways, which is pretty much, I think, what this slide says, looking at the average impact of individual factors or combinations of factors on the success rates of clinical trials. So what does this allow you to do? Well, again, I think those are all the same. The results are objective, quantified, fair, free of bias, and comprehensive. And what do our clients use the results to do? Well, obviously, they use the results to plan better clinical trials, to avoid expensive mistakes before you make those mistakes. We help our clients to predict the success or failure of clinical trials based on objective metrics rather than intuition or experience or company politics. We use the results to identify and compare the factors that have a genuine impact on clinical trial success. And of course, the result of this is that we help our clients to focus their resources on the areas that are most likely to succeed and to design their clinical trials to maximize the opportunity of success. Final case study before dinner. So, you've heard from some of my colleagues. You've certainly heard from Nikki about the APIs. And the APIs, as Nikki described, or as I like to describe, are essentially a pipe that brings all of the data in our databases into a usable format that can be analyzed in a bespoke way. So this frees you from the restrictions of the types of analysis that are possible within the databases. Of course, the databases give you many, many choices and many very sophisticated ways or simple ways of analyzing the data in those databases, but the APIs give you an extra level of freedom in analyzing the data and presenting it in an automated manner. So, in this example, many of our clients working in competitive intelligence, they need to track on a regular basis, what are my competitors doing? What are they doing? When are they doing it? How long? Which indications? These are the sort of questions that all of us in the industry are asked every day. So what should you do? You should talk to us. So tell us what analysis you want to do and what outputs you need from the analysis. So of course, some of this analysis can be conducted using our databases. As Nikki said, some of you may be in the habit of extracting data into Excel, spending a lot of time in Excel, manipulating the data, moving things around, removing certain parts of the data and so forth. But if you tell us what takes time every day and every week for you, then we can build a process that will automate that analysis so that you don't have to spend time doing it, because the tool that we will build for you will do that analysis automatically. So maybe you have a weekly report to your boss, or maybe you have a monthly report to the board of directors, where every time you need to show the same set of competitive analysis so that the important people in the company can keep track of the competition. Well, if you're doing that often and it takes you a lot of time, then I suggest you speak to us, because we can save you that time. So we can build you tools in Excel or in other platforms that will perform the analysis automatically for you and produce the outputs that you need using data from Informa and also data from external sources such as ClinicalTrials.gov. So what do the results look like? Well, we've found that actually a lot of our clients spend a lot of time making Gantt charts. And if you've ever made a Gantt chart, you'll know that Gantt charts are really painful and annoying to make. So if you take nothing else from this presentation, I would like you to remember that we can make the Gantt charts for you in an automated manner so that you can save time and do something much more interesting. So the rest of the slides in this example are basically all Gantt charts, whatever. We can make Gantt charts showing whatever it is you like using the data from our databases or from other external sources such as ClinicalTrials.gov. There's another Gantt chart. So what do our clients use these automated tools for automated analysis and automated generation of insights? What do they use these tools for? The results are simple to generate. They're drawn from Informa databases and also from external data sources. They are time-saving, and they are easily shared with your colleagues. If you've ever used pharma projects and you did a search and the answer was there are 337 drugs in phase 1 for disease X, but then your colleague does the same search, or he thinks he did the same search the next day, but somehow he got the answer 257, then you've got a problem. We can take those problems away from you because you will be able to share the results of the automated analysis in a simple way. So use the results to analyze pharma projects and trial trove data together. If you have the experience of subscribing to pharma projects and subscribing to trial trove, taking an output into Excel from both of those databases, and then doing something to try and combine them, you'll know that that's kind of a drag. So we'll do that automatically for you to really multiply the power of the databases to access new insights. We'll help you to visualize the data in the way that you want. You can tell us what color you want to be on the Gantt chart, and we'll make it the color or the shape or the X or the Y axis that you want in the way that suits your boss or the people that you're reporting to. We will automate the process, and you can stop having to draw Gantt charts. So I think that's pretty good news. So in summary, in the Informa Pharma Consulting team, our aim is to help you to answer the difficult questions so you can make decisions quickly and with confidence based on the best available evidence. And my final note, as a consultant, I suppose I should try to share some new information with you. And so I would like to share that for the most important question of today, or perhaps any day, 正解は、ムーミンたちは皆さんの心の中に住んでいます。以上です。